Welcome to a few moments together on the Parsha. The Shabbos, we have the privilege of reading Parshas Bo. Now, Parshas Bo contains the last three plagues of the enslavement in Egypt that Hashem punished the Egyptians prior to our going out. The eighth plague, of course, was the Arbe, the locusts. The ninth plague was the Choshech, and the 10th being Makas Bechoros. Rav Shamshon of Earl Hirsch, when he discusses the 10 plagues, makes note of the fact that the plagues came in series of 3. Just as the Egyptians enslaved the Jews in a 3-leveled, 3-tiered pattern, so too were the punishments in a 3-tiered pattern. The Egyptians enslaved the Jews first by making them pay a special Jew tax, which made them feel like strangers, gerus. So the first plague of each of the 3 sets of plagues, the Dam, the Orov, and the Arbe, all were, and the Barad, the Dam, the Orov, and the Barad were all plagues of making the Egyptians feel like strangers, that they didn't belong in their own land. The blood, of course, you can't drink the water in your own land, you're a stranger. And the plague of Orov, the wild beasts, so that you can't walk the streets. And finally, of course, the hail. It hardly rains in Egypt, let alone hails. And then, of course, the second plagues were plagues of enslavement, because the second thing the Egyptians did to the Jews was enslave them. And so the second of each group, the Svardeya, the Dever, and the Arbe, which consumed all their crops and their cattle, told them they have no right to enslave others. You're no better than them. Don't think you're better because you have possessions or property and so on. And finally, the third of each set of plagues was a punishment, inui, for punishing the Jews, and it never contained any warning. The third plague of each set had no warning, because it's a punishment for not listening to the other 2. We, in this week's Sedra, are on the third of the plagues of Inui, which was Choshech, the personal affliction of the darkness. When it describes the darkness, the pasuk says, Lo ra'u ish es ochiv, velo kamu ish mitachtov, which translates, Lo ra'u ish es ochiv, one person did not see his brother. And then, velo kamu ish mitachtov, and no man arose, no human, no man, no woman, arose from his place. Where they were, they remained in place. They could not move for 3 days. The Chidushei Harim sees in the juxtaposition of these 2 statements a powerful Midah idea. Lo ra'u ish es achiv. If one human being does not see what the other human being is going through, you might think it has no effect on you. But the pasuk says, V'lo kamu ish mitachtov, that no one was able to get up from his place. If a human being does not see the tzara of the other one, if a human being can't see the other person and empathize and sympathize with the other person, if you can't see your neighbor and look at your neighbor and see the needs of your neighbor, don't think it doesn't affect you. On the contrary, v'lo kamu ish mitachtov, you will be stuck in place. You will be incapable of personal growth. It will be impossible for you to move on in life. It will be impossible to achieve your goals when you don't see the other one. The darkness was such a terrible personal affliction that it made it that the final level of punishment to the Egyptians was they totally ignored the plight of others, and so they ended up being stuck stagnated, impossible to grow, to change, to develop. But if you see others' pain and you sympathize and watch others, wow, then you can grow. Then you can be free because you have consideration for others and you're able to introspect that much better to be able to grow. And so the Chidush Yarim sees the connection between Lo Ra'u Ish HaSochiv V'Lo Kamu Ish Mitachtov as being a very personal step in the growth and the development of we the Jews who read this beautiful pasuk. What a great way to start Chodesh Shvat, when things grow and things begin to sprout because we see others. Have a wonderful Shabbos.